Elena Martinez sat at her station aboard the exploration ship Endeavour, her fingers dancing across the communication controls. The deep space vessel had been traveling for 3 months, mapping unknown sectors of the galaxy when her equipment picked up something strange. A faint signal pulsed through the static, barely strong enough to register on her screens. "Captain Marcus, I'm receiving an unusual transmission," Elena called out across the bridge. The signal was unlike anything in their databases, filled with desperate urgency that needed no translation. Captain Marcus Thompson walked over to her station, his experienced eyes studying the readings. The signal originated from a star system 12 light-years away, far beyond any known civilization. "Can you clean it up?" Elena worked her controls, filtering out the background noise. The transmission became clearer, revealing voices speaking in rapid, panicked tones. Though the language was completely alien, the emotion was unmistakable, pure terror and desperation. "It's a distress call," Elena said quietly. "Multiple sources, all broadcasting the same message over and over." Dr. Amanda Patel, the ship's xenobiologist, hurried to the communications station. She plugged in her translation equipment and began analyzing the alien speech patterns. "The linguistic structure is complex, but I'm detecting repetitive elements that suggest they're calling for help." Chief Engineer Luis Rodriguez joined the growing crowd around Elena's station. "Captain, that system isn't on any of our charts. We'd be going in completely blind." Security Chief Robert Williams crossed his arms, his face showing concern. "Our mission parameters don't include first contact situations, especially distress scenarios. We should report this to Earth Command and let them decide." Captain Marcus studied the signal readings for several minutes. The transmission was growing weaker, suggesting either the source was failing or moving away. How long to reach that system? Navigation Officer Lisa Torres ran quick calculations on her console. "At maximum speed, 18 hours. But Captain, our fuel reserves would be stretched thin for the return journey." The alien voices continued their desperate calls through the ship's speakers. Dr. Patel worked frantically to decode more of the message. "I'm getting fragments now. Something about children, hiding, and time running out. This isn't just a distress call, it sounds like a final message." Elena enhanced the signal further, revealing background sounds that made everyone on the bridge freeze. Explosions, energy weapons firing, and the unmistakable sound of destruction echoed through the transmission. Whatever was happening in that distant system, it was catastrophic. "Captain," Dr. Patel said, her voice trembling, "I've decoded part of their message. They're saying we are the last of our kind. Our children hide in the deep places. If anyone receives this, remember us." The bridge fell silent except for the haunting alien voices pleading across the void. Captain Marcus had commanded starships for 15 years, but he had never faced a decision like this. The Endeavour was an exploration vessel, lightly armed and designed for scientific missions, not rescue operations. "Sir," Williams said carefully, "we have no idea what we'd be flying into. For all we know, whoever is attacking them might target us next." Rodriguez nodded in agreement. "The Endeavour isn't built for combat. We have mining charges and basic defensive systems, nothing more." Elena looked up from her station, her dark eyes filled with determination. "But we're the only ones who heard their call. If we don't help, no one will." Dr. Patel added more translated fragments to her analysis. "They're not just asking for rescue. They're begging someone to witness their final moments, to remember their civilization existed." Torres pulled up star charts on the main screen, showing the vast empty space between their current position and the source of the distress call. "Captain, if we go there and something happens to us, Earth won't know about this signal for months." Captain Marcus walked to the center of the bridge, looking at each of his crew members. These were good people, scientists and explorers who had volunteered for deep space missions. He had no right to risk their lives for unknown aliens. "Show me everything we know about that system," he ordered. Torres brought up what little data they had. The system contained an aging star and 7 planets, with most information gathered from long-range surveys decades old. The 3rd planet shows signs of an advanced civilization, artificial structures, energy signatures, and atmospheric modifications. Elena continued monitoring the distress signal, her equipment picking up additional transmissions. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy readings from that system. Whatever's happening there, it's big. Dr. Patel worked to decode more of the alien language. I'm starting to understand their grammar structure. They call themselves the Cathara. The attacking force, they call them the Vorthak. The name Vorthak seemed to carry weight in the alien transmissions, spoken with fear and hatred. Even without understanding the words, the crew could hear the terror these beings inspired. Rodriguez ran diagnostics on the ship's systems. If we're going to make this journey, I need to start preparations now. We'll need to reroute power from non-essential systems to increase our speed. Williams reviewed their defensive capabilities. We have emergency protocols for hostile encounters, but they're designed for retreat, not engagement. Elena suddenly straightened at her station. Captain, the signal is getting stronger. I think we're picking up visual transmissions now. The main screen flickered to life, showing grainy images from the distant star system. What they saw made everyone gasp in horror. Massive alien warships surrounded a single planet, firing devastating weapons at its surface. The planet's defenses fought back desperately, but they were clearly losing. My God, Dr. Patel whispered. We're watching the destruction of an entire world. The images showed cities burning, defensive satellites being destroyed, and the systematic annihilation of everything the Cathara had built. The attacking fleet was enormous. Hundreds of ships working together to eliminate all life on the planet. Captain Marcus watched the destruction unfold on screen, his hands clenched into fists. Every instinct told him to turn away, to report what they had found and let someone else handle it. But those voices calling across space, begging to be remembered, wouldn't leave his mind. Elena, how long before their transmissions stop completely? She checked her readings. At the current rate of signal degradation, maybe 6 hours. After that, there might be nothing left to broadcast. The bridge crew stood in tense silence, watching the genocide unfold on their screens. Each explosion on the planet's surface represented thousands of lives lost, an entire civilization being erased from existence. Dr. Patel looked up from her translations. Captain, I've decoded their final message completely. They're not just calling for help anymore. They're warning others about the Vorthak, trying to tell the galaxy about the threat these beings represent. Torres ran new calculations. If we leave now at maximum speed, we could reach the system just as their transmissions stop. Rodriguez was already moving toward his engineering station. I can give you that speed, Captain, but we'll be running. On fumes for the return trip, Williams stepped forward. Sir, I have to advise against this course of action. We're risking the entire ship and crew for people we've never met. Captain Marcus looked at the screen one more time, watching the Kithara's final stand against impossible odds. These beings had reached across the galaxy with their last breath, hoping someone would answer their call. Set course for the Cathara. System, he ordered, maximum speed. Elena smiled as she opened a channel to the dying world. This is the human vessel Endeavor. We received your distress call. We're coming. The transmission that came back was filled with surprise and desperate hope. Even without understanding the words, the crew knew they had just changed everything. The Endeavor raced through space at maximum speed while the crew prepared for the impossible. In the engineering section, Rodriguez worked frantically to squeeze every bit of power from the ship's systems. The journey to the Cathara system would push their vessel beyond its design limits. Captain, I need to speak with you privately, Security Chief Williams said as he approached Captain Marcus on the bridge. They moved to the ready room where Williams could speak freely. Sir, I understand the moral obligation you feel, but we have to consider the bigger picture, Williams said. If this Vorthak fleet is as powerful as it appears, we might be flying into a massacre. Captain Marcus sat heavily in his chair, the weight of command pressing down on him. I know the risks, Robert, but we can't just ignore what we've seen. Williams activated his personal tablet, showing tactical analysis of the enemy fleet. I've been studying the visual transmissions. The Vorthak ships use energy weapons we've never encountered. Their fleet coordination suggests military discipline far beyond anything in our databases. Dr. Patel entered the ready room with new intelligence. Captain, I've made a breakthrough in translating their language. The Kithara aren't just being conquered, they're being harvested? The word sent chills through both men. Marcus gestured for her to continue. The Vorthak don't just destroy civilizations, Dr. Patel explained. They extract neural patterns, memories, and knowledge from entire species before eliminating them. The Kithara transmissions mention 17 other extinct races whose information the Vorthak have stolen. Williams leaned forward. You're saying they're collecting the minds of every species they conquer? Dr. Patel nodded grimly. The Kithara have become a repository of galactic history. They carry the memories and knowledge of 17 dead civilizations. If they're destroyed, all of that information dies with them. Captain Marcus stood and walked to the viewport, staring at the stars rushing past. How much time do they have left? Their planetary shields are failing, Dr. Patel replied. The population has retreated to underground cities, but the Vorthak are beginning surface bombardment. Maybe hours, not days. Elena's voice crackled over the intercom. Captain? I'm receiving a personal transmission from the planet. It's directed specifically at us. The three officers returned to the bridge where Elena had isolated the new signal. The main screen showed a young Kithara female, her large eyes filled with determination despite the explosions visible behind her. I am Vel of the Kithara, the alien said in broken but understandable English. We detected your ship approaching. We know you cannot save us, but we ask something different. The transmission was remarkably clear despite the chaos surrounding her. Vel stood in what appeared to be an underground bunker, with other Kithara working desperately at various tasks in the background. How did she learn our language so quickly? Torres asked in amazement. Dr. Patel was equally surprised. The Kithara must have incredible linguistic abilities. She's learned enough English from our initial contact to communicate directly. Vel continued her message. We do not ask for rescue. We ask for remembrance and the knowledge of 17 species. Lives within our archives. If you cannot save us, please survive to tell their stories. The bridge crew listened in stunned silence as Vel explained her people's final plan. The Kithara had been preparing for this moment, knowing their military defeat was inevitable. Our scientists work now to preserve everything in quantum storage, Vel said, but we need time to complete the transfer. The Vorthak know what we carry. They will not allow us to finish. Captain Marcus stepped forward. Vel, this is Captain Marcus of the human ship Endeavor. What do you need from us? Her response came quickly, as if she had been waiting for that exact question. Create confusion among their fleet. The Vorthak coordinate through their command ship, disrupt their communications, and their attack patterns will falter. Rodriguez was already analyzing the enemy fleet composition on his tablet. Captain, she's right. Look at their formation. It's too perfect, too synchronized. They're operating as a single unit controlled from one source. Williams studied the tactical situation. But we're one ship against hundreds. Even if we could disrupt their communications, we'd be destroyed in the process. Elena received another transmission from Vel, this one containing technical data about the Vorthak fleet. She's sending us everything they know about enemy ship specifications and weapon systems. Dr. Patel translated the data stream. The Kithara have been fighting these invaders for months. They've learned the Vorthak's weaknesses. Torres plotted various approach vectors to the system. If we use the asteroid field around their star, we might be able to get close enough to cause some damage before they destroy us. The idea of using asteroids as weapons sparked something in Rodriguez's engineering mind. Wait, we don't need to fight them directly. The system has a dense asteroid belt. If we could destabilize it somehow, Williams caught on to the engineer's thinking. Create a debris field that would force them to break formation. Elena enhanced the images from the system, showing the massive asteroid belt surrounding the Kithara's sun. Some of those rocks are the size of small moons. If they started moving toward the planet ... double quotes, Captain Marcus felt a plan forming in his mind. It was dangerous and probably suicidal, but it might give the Cathara the time they needed. What would it take to push asteroids out of their orbit? Rodriguez was already running calculations. Our mining charges weren't designed for that scale, but if we detonate them at precise points, we could create a cascade effect. Dr. Patel received more data from Vel, including information about the quantum storage project. Captain, the Cathara need at least 6 hours to complete their knowledge transfer. Right now they have maybe 2. The reality of their situation settled over the bridge crew. They were 18 hours away from a battle they couldn't win, trying to save people they had never met from an enemy that had conquered 17 other civilizations. Torres brought up navigation charts showing their current position. Captain, if we're going to do this, I need to start plotting intercept courses now. The asteroid field is massive and positioning will be critical. Williams reviewed their weapons inventory. We have 47 mining charges, standard defensive, armaments, and 1 very determined crew. Against a fleet that size, it should be completely hopeless, Elena smiled grimly. Then they won't expect us to try it. Vel's transmission continued with more technical details about Vorthak tactics. They are creatures of order and hierarchy. Chaos confuses them. They do not adapt quickly to unexpected situations. Dr. Patel found that piece of information particularly interesting. That could be their weakness. If we can create enough disorder, their rigid command structure might collapse. Rodriguez was already drawing up plans to modify their mining equipment. I can rig the charges for remote detonation and reprogram our probe launchers to deliver them. It won't be pretty, but it might work. Captain Marcus looked around at his crew, seeing determination replacing fear in their eyes. These people had volunteered for exploration missions, not military operations, but they were ready to fight for complete strangers. Vel, he said into the communications channel, we're coming. Hold on for 80 more hours. Her response carried a mix of gratitude and sadness. We will try, Captain Marcus. But know that whether you succeed or fail, you have already given us something precious, the knowledge that someone heard our call. The transmission ended with sounds of increasing bombardment in the background. The Vorthak were intensifying. Their attack, perhaps sensing the Kithara's desperation, Elena turned from her station. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildups from the Vorthak fleet. They're preparing for a final assault. Torres checked their arrival time again. We're still 17 hours out. If they attack now... Williams completed the grim calculation. The Kithara won't survive until we get there. But Captain Marcus was studying the tactical display with new eyes. Unless we change our approach, Elena, can you boost our signal strength? She nodded, making adjustments to the communications array. What do you have in mind, Captain? Marcus smiled with the confidence of a man who had just decided to attempt the impossible. We're going to do something the Vorthak won't expect. We're going to announce our arrival. Elena boosted the communications array to maximum power and broadcast a message directly to the Vorthak fleet. The transmission was simple but carried the weight of humanity's first words to a hostile alien force. This is Captain Marcus Thompson of the human vessel Endeavor. We are responding to the Kithara distress call. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences. The bluff was audacious and completely unsupported by any real threat, but it had the desired effect. The Vorthak bombardment paused as their command ship tried to identify this unknown species that dared challenge their overwhelming force. Dr. Patel monitored the enemy communications, translating their confused exchanges. They're arguing about whether we represent a larger fleet. Some of their commanders want to investigate before continuing the attack. Rodriguez seized the opportunity to accelerate their preparations. In the engineering bay, he worked with his team to modify every piece of equipment that could be turned into a weapon. Mining charges were reprogrammed for maximum explosive yield, and probe launchers were converted to deliver them at precise coordinates. We're not going to win this through superior firepower, Rodriguez explained to his engineers. We need to Smarter, more creative than they expect. Security Chief Williams gathered the crew in the main assembly hall to explain their desperate strategy. The Vorthak operate like a military hierarchy. They follow orders and expect predictable responses. We're going to give them chaos instead. Elena continued broadcasting misleading communications to the enemy fleet, creating the impression that human reinforcements were approaching from multiple directions. She mixed real technical specifications about their ship with complete fabrications. About fictional vessels. I'm telling them our ship is the advanced scout for a human battle fleet, Elena explained to Dr. Patel. The more confused they become about our actual capabilities, the longer they'll hesitate. Navigation Officer Torres worked frantically to plot their approach through the asteroid field. The belt surrounding the Cathara system was incredibly dense, filled with rocks ranging from pebbles to planet-sized chunks of stone and metal. Captain, I've identified 17 asteroids that could cause maximum disruption if we can knock them out of orbit, Torres reported. The cascade effect would create a debris field that spans half the system. Captain Marcus studied the tactical display showing their intended path through the asteroid belt. It would require precision flying through a maze of spinning rocks, while enemy ships tried to destroy them. How long do we have before they realize we're bluffing? Marcus asked Dr. Patel. She listened to more Vorthak communications before answering. Their fleet commander is demanding proof of our military strength. I estimate maybe 4 hours before they resume full bombardment. Rodriguez emerged from engineering covered in grease and carrying a tablet full of modifications. Captain, I've turned our ship into something between a battering ram and a floating bomb. We can deliver our mining charges to those asteroids, but we'll only get one chance, Marcus finished. I understand, Luis. Make sure everything is ready. Elena received another transmission from Vel on the planet's surface. The young Cathara looked exhausted but determined as she provided updates on their quantum storage project. We have preserved 60% of our archives, Vel reported. The knowledge of 8 extinct civilizations is now safe in quantum form, but we need more time for the remaining 9. Dr. Patel translated additional technical data about the Kithara's preservation efforts. They're not just saving information, Captain. They're creating a living digital consciousness that can interact with other technologies. Williams reviewed their defensive capabilities one final time. We have emergency protocols for hostile encounters, but nothing like this. Once we enter that asteroid field, we're committed to the attack. Torres brought up real-time images of the Vorthak fleet, showing their positions around the dying planet. They're maintaining formation, but I can see gaps we might exploit. If we approach from the asteroid belt's shadow, the plan was taking shape despite its apparent impossibility. The Endeavor would use the asteroid field as both cover and weapon, creating enough chaos to disrupt the Vorthak attack while the Cathara completed their preservation efforts. Elena detected increased chatter from the enemy fleet as they grew suspicious of the human bluff. They're starting to question our claims about reinforcements. Some of their scouts are moving to investigate our supposed fleet positions. Rodriguez completed the final modifications to their mining equipment. I've rigged 47 charges for remote detonation and programmed our targeting computers for maximum precision. Each charge will be delivered by probe to exactly the right position on each target asteroid. Dr. Patel continued her linguistic analysis of Vorthak communications, learning more about their rigid military structure. They operate through absolute hierarchy. Junior officers never question commands, and the fleet moves as a single entity controlled from their flagship. Williams identified the command ship through careful observation of enemy formations. It's the largest vessel, positioned at the center of their fleet. If we could somehow disable their central command, Torres ran simulations of their approach. Vector, calculating fuel consumption and timing. We'll have one pass through the asteroid field. If we miss our targets or get destroyed before completing the mission, there won't be a second chance. Captain Marcus called the senior staff together for a final briefing. Everyone understands what we're attempting. This isn't a military mission. We're explorers trying to save an entire civilization's knowledge. Elena enhanced their communications. Array one more time, preparing to coordinate with the Cathara during the attack. Vel has given us access to their planetary defense network. We'll be able to communicate throughout the operation. Rodriguez presented his final engineering report. All systems are modified and ready. We've stripped everything non-essential to maximize power for engines and weapons. The ship will hold together for one massive effort. Dr. Patel shared her LATEST intelligence about Vorthak psychology. They're expecting either a conventional attack or complete surrender. The idea of using asteroids as weapons seems to be outside their tactical thinking. Williams addressed the crew over the ship's intercom system. In 3 hours, we're going to attempt something that has never been tried before. We're going to fight a superior enemy using nothing but human creativity and determination. Torres made final course corrections as they approached the edge of the Cathara system. Captain, I'm detecting movement from the Vorthak fleet. They're repositioning for what looks like a final assault on the planet. Elena's communications board lit up with desperate transmissions from the planet's surface. The Cathara are under massive bombardment. Their underground cities are taking direct hits. Rodriguez monitored their ship systems as they prepared for combat. All modifications complete, Captain. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Dr. Patel received one final message from Vel, who was now coordinating the Cathara's last stand from deep underground. She says they've preserved 75% of their archives. The knowledge of 12 extinct civilizations is now secure. Williams checked their tactical situation one last time. The Vorthak fleet has begun their final attack. If we're going to act, it has to be now. Captain Marcus looked around the bridge at his crew, seeing courage and determination in every face. These people had volunteered for peaceful exploration, but they were ready to fight for strangers. They had never met. Torres engaged the engines at maximum power as they entered the asteroid field. Beginning our approach run. All hands prepare for combat. Elena opened a final communication channel to both the Cathara and the Vorthak fleet. This is the human vessel Endeavor. We're keeping our promise. The Endeavor dove into the asteroid belt, beginning humanity's first battle among the stars. Behind them, the Vorthak fleet scrambled to respond to this unexpected attack, their rigid formations beginning to break apart as they tried to pursue the human ship through the maze of spinning rocks. Rodriguez armed all 47 mining charges. As they approached the first target asteroid, "Charges ready, Captain. Let's show them what human ingenuity can accomplish." The Endeavor plunged into the asteroid field like a missile, with Torres at the helm performing impossible maneuvers between massive chunks of rock and metal. The ship's hull groaned under the stress as they accelerated beyond safe operational limits. First target acquired, Rodriguez announced as a mountain-sized asteroid appeared on their screens. The rock was perfectly positioned to create maximum chaos if knocked from its orbit toward the Vorthak fleet. Elena launched the first mining probe, watching it streak toward the asteroid's core. Probe away. Detonation in 30 seconds. Behind them, Vorthak pursuit ships entered the asteroid field, their energy weapons lighting up space as they tried to target the rapidly moving human vessel. Their shots went wide as Torres used the spinning rocks for cover. "They're having trouble tracking us," Williams observed from his tactical station. "Their targeting systems aren't designed for this kind of environment." The first mining charge detonated deep inside the asteroid, splitting the massive rock into dozens of large fragments that immediately began drifting toward the planet. The gravitational effects would pull them directly through the Vorthak formation. Dr. Patel monitored enemy communications as confusion spread through their fleet. They're arguing about how to respond. Some ships want to pursue us, others want to maintain formation around the planet. Torres spun the ship around another asteroid, using its bulk to shield them from pursuing energy blasts. Second target coming up? This one's even bigger than the first. Rodriguez armed another mining charge and loaded it into the probe launcher. If we can split this one correctly, the debris field will force their entire fleet to scatter. Elena received a transmission from Vel on the planet's surface. The young Kithara's voice was strained but hopeful as she reported their progress. The quantum preservation is now 85% complete, Vel said. 14 extinct civilizations have been saved. You are giving us the time we needed. Captain Marcus gripped his command chair as the ship shook from a near miss by Vorthak. Weapons. How many more asteroids do we need to hit? Torres checked their tactical display while dodging debris from their first target. 15 more strategic targets should create a debris cascade that spans the entire system. The second mining charge found its mark, splitting another massive asteroid into fragments that joined the growing storm of rock and metal heading toward the planet. The Vorthak fleet began to break formation as commanders realized the scale of the threat. Williams watched enemy ship movements with growing satisfaction. Their formation is collapsing. Individual ships are trying to avoid the debris, but they're losing coordination. Elena detected panic in Vorthak communications as their rigid command structure struggled to adapt. They're requesting new orders from their flagship, but the command ship is too busy avoiding asteroids to respond. Rodriguez loaded the third mining charge while monitoring their ship's systems. The modifications he had made were holding, but the stress of combat was pushing everything to the breaking point. Ships holding together, but we can't maintain this pace indefinitely, Rodriguez reported. Hull stress is approaching critical levels. Dr. Patel translated urgent communications from the Vorthak fleet commander, who was trying to regain control of the deteriorating situation. Their leader is ordering all ships to ignore the debris and focus fire on us. The command created even more chaos as some Vorthak ships obeyed while others continued evasive maneuvers. The result was a fleet caught between following orders and surviving the asteroid storm. Torres executed a particularly daring maneuver, flying between two colliding asteroids while Vorthak energy beams lit up the space around them. Third target acquired. This one's positioned to take out their command ship's escape route. Elena launched the probe just as multiple Vorthak fighters emerged from behind a large asteroid, their weapons charging for a concentrated attack on the Endeavour. Williams activated their defensive systems, but the human ship's shields were never designed for sustained combat. Shields at 60% and falling. We need to finish this quickly. The third mining charge detonated perfectly, sending massive chunks of rock directly toward the Vorthak command ship. The enemy flagship was forced to break from its central position, disrupting communications with the entire fleet. Rodriguez monitored the growing debris field with satisfaction. The cascade effect is working better than projected. Those asteroids are breaking apart as they collide, creating even more chaos. Elena received another update from Val, whose transmission was interrupted by explosions from the orbital bombardment. 90% preservation complete. 15 extinct civilizations now preserved, almost finished. Dr. Patel detected something new in the Vorthak communications. Fear. They're calling for a general retreat. The fleet commander has lost control of the situation, but Torres spotted movement on the tactical display that worried her. Captain, multiple enemy ships are breaking away from the debris field and heading directly for the planet's surface. Williams analyzed the new threat. They're going to attempt a direct assault on the Kithara's underground cities. If they can't coordinate orbital bombardment, they'll finish the job up close. Captain Marcus realized their asteroid strategy had created a new problem. While they had disrupted the fleet, they had also forced the Vorthak to change tactics. How many ships are heading for the surface? Marcus asked. Elena counted the enemy vessels breaking away from the main fleet. 23 ships, including some of their largest assault vessels. Rodriguez checked their remaining mining charges. We've used 15 charges on the asteroids. 32 left, but they're all we have for a direct confrontation. Torres plotted an intercept course that would take them out of the asteroid field and into open space where the Vorthak ship's heading for the planet. We can catch them before they reach the surface, but we'll be outnumbered more than 20 to 1. Dr. Patel received a desperate transmission from Vel. The surface bombardment has stopped, but they're detecting ships approaching the planet. The quantum preservation is at 95%, but they need just a few more minutes. Williams studied their tactical options with growing concern. In open space, without the asteroids for cover, they'll destroy us in seconds. Elena enhanced their long-range sensors, getting a better look at the approaching Vorthek assault force. Those aren't just attack ships. They're carrying invasion troops and drilling equipment. The realization hit everyone at once. The Vorthek intended to dig out the Cathara personally, ensuring no one survived to activate their quantum preservation system. Rodriguez began reprogramming their remaining mining charges for direct combat. I can turn these into torpedoes, but they're not guided missiles. We'll need to get close to ensure accuracy. Torres calculated the physics of their situation. If we accelerate out of the asteroid field at maximum speed, we can intercept the assault force just as they enter the planet's atmosphere. Captain Marcus looked at the tactical display showing their impossible odds. One small exploration ship against 23 military vessels filled with invasion troops. Williams checked their shield status and remaining power reserves. Captain, I have to advise against this course of action. We've already accomplished more than anyone thought possible. Elena received a final transmission from Vel, whose voice was now filled with desperate hope. Quantum preservation at 98%. And the knowledge of 16 extinct civilizations is secure. We need 2 more minutes. Dr. Patel looked up from her translations. She's saying something else, Captain. The Cathara aren't just preserving knowledge. They're preparing to upload their entire consciousness into the quantum matrix. The implications were staggering. If the Cathara succeeded, they wouldn't just preserve their civilization's history, they would survive as a new form of digital life. Rodriguez finished his modifications to the remaining mining charges. Weapons ready, Captain. 32 charges, programmed for maximum impact against enemy hulls. Torres engaged the engines at emergency power, sending the Endeavour racing out of the asteroid field toward the approaching assault fleet. Beginning intercept course. Time to target, 4 minutes. Elena opened a communication channel to the Vorthek assault force, her voice carrying the determination of humanity's first space battle. This is the human vessel Endeavour. Turn back now or face destruction. The response came in the form of energy weapons lighting up space as 23 enemy ships prepared to overwhelm the single human vessel that dared challenge them. Williams armed all defensive systems as they raced toward impossible odds. All hands prepare for combat. This is going to be the fight of our lives. The Endeavour emerged from the asteroid field like an avenging comet, racing toward the 23 Vorthek ships descending on the Cathara homeworld. The odds were impossible, but Captain Marcus had no intention of backing down. All weapons ready, Rodriguez reported from his engineering station. 32 mining charges converted to ship killers. We'll have one chance to make them count. Torres pushed the engines beyond their safety limits, the ship's hull vibrating with barely contained power. Approaching weapons range in 60 seconds. They're spreading out to surround us. Elena maintained constant communication with Vel on the planet's surface. Quantum preservation at 99%. The consciousness transfer is almost complete. Dr. Patel monitored Vorthek communications as their assault fleet prepared to engage the lone human ship. They're confused by our approach. Their commanders can't understand why we're attacking when retreat would be logical. Williams coordinated their defensive systems while studying enemy attack patterns. They're trying to box us in, but their formation assumes we'll fight conventionally. Captain Marcus had no intention of fighting conventionally. Elena, transmit our surrender offer to the Vorthek command ship. The bridge crew looked at him in shock until they realized what he was planning. Elena smiled as she opened a channel. To the enemy flagship. This is Captain Marcus Thompson offering unconditional surrender, she broadcast. We request permission to dock with your command vessel for formal proceedings. The audacious bluff caused exactly the confusion Marcus hoped for. The Vorthek assault fleet hesitated, their rigid hierarchy struggling to process this unexpected DVOPMENT. Dr. Patel translated their rapid exchanges. They're arguing about protocol. Some want to accept the surrender, others suspect a trap. Torres used the confusion to position the Endeavor directly between the enemy fleet and the planet. We're in perfect position, Captain. Whatever you're planning, now's the time. Rodriguez armed all 32 mining charges and loaded them into every available launcher, weapons ready. Target the largest ships first? But Marcus had an even more desperate plan in mind. Target their engines, not their hulls. We're not trying to destroy them, we're trying to strand them. Elena received a final transmission from Vel that changed everything. Captain, the quantum preservation is complete. But there's something else. The Cathara have discovered how to weaponize their consciousness transfer technology. The young Kithara's image appeared on screen one last time, her large eyes now glowing with strange energy. We are no longer just preserving knowledge. We have become something new. Dr. Patel watched in amazement as her translation equipment struggled to process what Vel was saying. She's speaking in multiple languages simultaneously, including some that are completely unknown. The planet's surface began to glow with an eerie light as the Cathara quantum consciousness came online. Massive energy signatures bloomed across the world as 17 extinct civilizations worth of knowledge merged into a single digital entity. Williams detected the energy readings on his tactical display. Captain, something's happening on the planet. Power levels are off the charts. Torres felt the ship shudder as gravitational waves from the planet's transformation reached them. The planet's gravity field is fluctuating. Whatever they're doing down there is affecting space-time itself. Rodriguez launched the first salvo of mining charges just as the Vorthake fleet opened fire. The human weapons struck enemy engines with devastating precision, crippling 6 ships in the opening seconds of combat. Elena coordinated their attack while maintaining contact with the transforming Cathara consciousness. Vel, what's happening to your people? The response came not from Vel alone, but from a collective voice representing thousands of minds speaking as one. We have become the archive. The knowledge of 17 civilizations lives within us. We are ready to defend ourselves. The planet's transformation reached a critical point as streams of energy began reaching into space. The Vorthek assault ships found their systems failing as the archive's influence spread beyond the world's atmosphere. Dr. Patel tried to understand what she was witnessing. They've turned their entire civilization into a quantum computer capable of interfacing with any technology. They're taking control of the Vorthek ships. Williams watched enemy vessels losing power and drifting helplessly as their systems were overwhelmed by the archive's digital consciousness. Half their fleet is disabled. The others are trying to retreat. Rodriguez launched another wave of mining charges, targeting the engines of ships trying to escape. Got them. The entire assault force is stranded in orbit. But Captain Marcus realized their victory had come at a terrible cost. The Endeavor systems were failing under the combined stress of combat and the Archive's energy field. Torres struggled to maintain control as their ship's computers began malfunctioning. Captain, our systems are being affected too. Navigation and life support are fluctuating. Elena found that her communications equipment was now interfacing directly with the archive consciousness. Through her speakers came the voices of beings dead for millions of years, all preserved within the Cathara quantum matrix. We apologize for the system interference, the collective voice said. We are learning to control our new existence. Your ship will not be harmed. Rodriguez felt their engines stabilizing as the archive learned to modulate its influence. They're actually helping us now. Power levels are returning to normal. Dr. Patel realized they were witnessing the birth of something unprecedented in galactic history. Captain, the archive isn't just preserving civilization. It's become a new form of life that can exist in both digital and physical space. The Vorthak fleet, both in orbit and scattered throughout the system, found themselves completely outmatched by an enemy they couldn't understand. Their rigid military hierarchy had no protocols for fighting or quantum consciousness. Williams monitored enemy communications as panic spread through their forces. They're calling for complete evacuation of the system. The fleet commander is ordering immediate retreat. Torres watched the Vortex ships limping away from the system. Their engines barely functional after the Archive's interference. They're leaving, but I don't think they'll be back anytime soon. Elena received a personal message from what had once been Vel, but was now part of something far greater. Thank you, humans. You gave us the time we needed to complete our transformation. Captain Marcus looked around his damaged bridge at the crew who had achieved the impossible. Elena, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them humanity's first. Contact with hostile aliens was successful. Rodriguez began damage assessment as their ship stabilized in orbit around the transformed Catharo world. We're operational, but will need extensive repairs before attempting the journey home. Dr. Patel continued her dialogue with the Archive, learning about the wealth of knowledge now contained within their quantum consciousness. They're offering to share the accumulated wisdom of 17 civilizations with humanity. The Archive's collective voice filled the bridge with warmth and gratitude. You risked everything for strangers. This is rare in the galaxy. We will help your species grow. Williams detected movement throughout the system as word of humanity's intervention began spreading to other worlds. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from multiple star systems. News of what happened here is traveling fast. Torres plotted a course for the edge of the system where they could begin repairs. Sir, should we head home or remain here to establish formal diplomatic relations? Elena answered by showing him the flood of messages arriving from across the galaxy. I don't think we're going anywhere soon. Half the civilizations in this sector want to meet the species that challenged the Vorthic Empire. Dr. Patel translated some of the incoming transmissions, her eyes widening with each message. They're calling us the first species to successfully resist Vorthic conquest. Some are asking for protection, others want to form alliances. The Archive's consciousness reached out across space, touching the minds of beings on distant worlds, with a message of hope. The humans have shown that the Vorthic can be defeated. No longer must civilizations face them alone. Captain Marcus realized their desperate rescue mission had accidentally started something much larger. Elena, what's our status with Earth Command? She checked their long-range communications. Still 18 hours away from Earth at light speed. They won't know what happened here for almost a day. Rodriguez completed his damage assessment with surprising results. Captain, the Archive has actually improved some of our systems. Our engines are more efficient and our computers are processing faster. Williams detected the approach of ships from nearby star systems, their intentions clearly peaceful. We're about to have a lot of company. Should I prepare first contact? Protocols? Dr. Patel smiled as she realized the full scope of what they had accomplished. We came to save one dying civilization and ended up changing the balance of power in this entire region of space. The Archive spoke through their communications one final time, its collective voice carrying the wisdom of ages. The Vorthic will spread word of their defeat, and other predator species will think twice before attacking defenseless worlds. You have given hope to thousands of civilizations. Elena opened the channel to the approaching ships while composing humanity's first message as a galactic power. This is the human vessel Endeavor, representing Earth and the human species. We come in peace and friendship. Torres set course for a stable orbit where they could receive the diplomatic fleet now approaching from multiple star systems. Captain, I think we're about to become very busy. Captain Marcus looked out at the stars with new understanding. Humanity had answered one distress call and found themselves at the center of a galactic community they never knew existed. The Archive's parting words echoed through the ship's speakers. Your species will be remembered not for its weapons or technology, but for answering the call of strangers in need. This is the greatest strength any civilization can possess. As ships from across the galaxy converged on their position, the crew of the Endeavor prepared to represent humanity in its first steps onto the galactic stage, knowing they had changed the course of history by simply doing what humans do best, helping others when help is needed most.